Tonight's next inductee is someone for whom running came naturally, and he has taken it to the highest levels in competition. Stephen Pifer was born into a family of distance runners, so it was natural for him to stand out at Edwardsville High School, win the Triple Crown of Illinois High School Association running, and go on to distance running stardom at the University of Colorado. We did a little research on YouTube and found the final lap of Stephen's run in the Big 12 Championships 1,500 meters race in 2006.
This race a few moments ago was down to around 2 athletes. Now it's right back. You can say that there are 4 athletes still in this race.
And Kyle Miller in second place. It's one thing that he did in his qualifying heat. He came on strong on the last lap, and Chuli starts to make a move now.
And Stephen Pifer, who has taken the lead from the beginning, is really starting to open up and get a little bit of the lead on the rest of the pack. David Rotich trying to hang in there for second position. And Pifer's Colorado teammate, Anthony Chuli, has now started to make a move. The sophomore from Memphis, Tennessee, is starting to gain a little bit on David Rotich.
But it's Stephen Pifer pulling away, and Pifer wins it. Rotich in second, and another Colorado Buffalo, Chuli in third. Stephen Pifer, the sophomore from Edwardsville, Illinois.
I don't know about you, I'm exhausted just watching that. But that was a Big 12 record-setting run by Stephen. He was an 8-time All-America at CU, 4 in track and 4 in cross country. And there's much more to marvel at in Stephen's bio, written by our committee member and Hall of Famer in his own right, Steve Porter, who will conduct this next interview. Ladies and gentlemen, with your applause, please help us welcome Stephen Pifer into the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame.
Well, thank you, Tom, and good evening. It's a pleasure to introduce our new Hall of Famer, Stephen Pifer. I'll tell you a story about Stephen. I can tell a lot of stories. But he could run like the wind, and he did it in high school, he did it in college, and he did it beyond. I'm sure he's still doing it today. There was nobody could, in his era, could run like Stephen. Stephen, welcome. Glad to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Steve. This is an exciting moment for me. You probably conducted one of my first interviews after a high school cross-country meet. Andy Bratton, my teammate, used to run me into the ground, and I think you might have thrown me a little bit of attention. I was so excited. So this is definitely a nice bookend to our conversations together.
Thank you. Stephen, I'm sure there's some family and friends out there you'd like to introduce and recognize tonight.
Yep, absolutely. So I've got my mom and dad here. So, yeah, got to give a big shout out to my mom for putting me in every sport.
Please stand up, please.
Yeah. We've got my stepdad. We got my dad over here, Chris. We've got my younger brother, Jack, who's a runner at St. Louis University. We've got my grandma and grandpa on my dad's side and my grandfather on my mom's side. I've also got Tim Flamer, who was my coach in high school and architected the entire career. And then I've got current Hall of Fame member Craig Virgin, close family friend who's also here with me. So
great to see all of you. Now, since your grandfather was the coach at SIUE and Tim was an All-American, I'm sure they really emphasized the importance of running. And I imagine there's some stories there you could tell us about how they influenced you.
Yeah, for sure. I'll never forget. So I used to see my Uncle Tim always going out for runs, and I really thought, what is he doing? Why is he running all these miles? And he comes back, and he's always exhausted. I sure would like to go out for one of these runs with him. So he let me get on a bike and tag along, and at this point, he was training for the marathon trials. And I'll never forget, I got nervous, and there was a car coming, and I forgot to put on the brake, and I ran into the back of his leg, and he stopped me, and it wasn't a great moment for me, and I'm surprised he let me come back out on a run with him again, but that was probably one of my earliest memories with him out running.
And then a great memorable career at Edwardsville High School, And I know you played some other sports there, and I understand you were a pretty good basketball player, but had to, I don't want to say give it up, but decided to concentrate on track and cross country. How good a basketball player were you?
Yeah, I wasn't too bad. So there was a guy named Darius Miles who went to the NBA out of high school, and I got to play against him when I was a freshman at EHS. I dressed varsity, and our coach knew that Darius was going to go to the NBA, so he said, all right, all you guys who have been running a scout team for the varsity, we're going to give you an opportunity to play against a future NBA guy. So I think I maybe could have played for a small Division I college in basketball, but not anything like what I did in track.
I think you made the right call there, Stephen. Also in high school, you won a lot of races. I remember one in particular, before we get to the Triple Crown, where you won the 3,200 meters, which is basically 2 miles, at the Madison County meet. Stephen was so good in that meet, he lapped every other runner, even the second place finisher. Do you remember that, Stephen?
Yeah, I remember that race. That was a tough one.
And then the Triple Crown came, where you won in cross country, you won the state championship, came back in the spring for track, won the 1,600 and 3,200 meters. What did that mean to you, and describe how that all played out? I think you told me the cross country one was the toughest part of it.
Yeah, no. So it's interesting, right? I was chasing a piece of history. I think at that point in time, I was only the 6th athlete in the state of Illinois to win all 3 events, and it's kind of you got to get a little bit lucky because you got to stay healthy for the entire year, and then you got to get the tactics right on the day, and it's really tough to get the tactics right because you can't control what your competitors are going to do. So yeah, it was really special, and it helps. I've got Craig here. Craig was the last person from Southern Illinois to win that, and I don't think anybody else has a mentor that's gone on to the heights that he did. So I had some real advantages in having people who had been there and done that could help kind of coach and guide me along the way. But yeah, it was a special day to close it out.
When you won that 3,200 meters, which gave you the Triple Crown, was there a feeling of accomplishment, relief? What were your feelings then?
Yeah, so mostly relief. There was a team race at stake as well, and so we had been 6th place 2 years in a row at state cross country, and I really wanted to bring home a trophy to the school, and so there were some big points on the line, and getting 20 points for the team, winning the 16 and the 3,200 was it was really important, and so we ended up clinching 3rd place that day, and we brought home a trophy, and I probably was the first one in like 50 years for the school. So
I think it was. And winning that helped Stephen get a scholarship to Colorado. He had all kinds of scholarship offers from all over the country. Why did you choose Colorado? And I can imagine running in Boulder, as beautiful that is.
Oh, yeah. So Tim had taken me out there, and I'll say exposure to what the next level of running looked like went so far in my career. So I give my Uncle Tim a ton of credit, and my grandparents for, trucking us all the way out to Utah and to Colorado and seeing different parts of the country that I maybe wouldn't have seen otherwise. But once you get out on Highway 36 and you're going into the valley that's Boulder and you see those Flatiron Mountains, it's like, who would want to run anywhere else? So I knew I was sold at that point.
And what a career there, All-American, both track and cross country, set a lot of records, and eventually won an NCAA championship, and you got to go to the White House, right?
Yeah, that's correct. So we went and we got to meet President Bush, which was an experience in itself. But yeah, I was fortunate to be part of 2 national championship teams. The 04 team was really fun because our number 1 runner on the team decided to turn pro. Another guy got injured. Another guy's dad lost his job. And so Wisconsin was the unanimous number 1 ranked team in the country, and we came in and upset them.
And after that, I think you ran for Nike, and they had the Olympic trials. What was that like?
Yeah, it was pretty amazing, as you would expect. I mean, your job is literally to wake up, go for a run, have some food, take a nap, get a massage, go for another run, and then go to Europe and spend your summers eating good food and racing around the track circuit. So it was terrible.
I can imagine. And then last year, I believe you were inducted into the Edwardsville Athletic Hall of Fame. How meaningful was that for you?
Yeah, that was, It was obviously, of course, very big for me, but the fact that it was the first or the inaugural relaunching of the Edwardsville High School Hall of Fame, and to be in the first class that was brought back in was just, a cherry on top. And there's been so many incredible athletes that have come through this area and through our high school, and so yeah, it was a special moment as well.
Now, do you instruct runners, or have you talked to some younger runners about what it means or what it takes to be a good runner? And if so, what have you told them?
Yeah, I try and stay as connected as I can and support kids in the area. The guy who actually broke my school record in the 3,200, Ryan Watts, is now running for Iowa State. Of course, my brother who's running at SLU. So when I can impart some wisdom, I always like to come back and give back to the next generation of runners. But the most important thing is just, one, for me, it's consistency. Two, it's, don't make it about yourself, make it about your team. The stress is, enough of everything else you got going on in life to stress about, running. It's just a sport, so I try and help keep things in perspective for the kids. And then it's just being honest with yourself. If you really want to accomplish something, you've got to be honest with yourself about what needs to be done to accomplish it.
Of all the records you set, which one do you cherish the most?
That's a good question. Probably being the first CU athlete to break the 4-minute mile. That was a pretty cool moment because there were so many Olympians and national champions that have come through the University of Colorado. So to break the 4-minute mile there was pretty nice.
So what's next for Stephen Pifer? What are you doing these days?
So now I live in Atlanta, Georgia with my wife and 3 sons. And I help out coaching their track team. I work for a company called Curex. So we get to work with a lot of athletes, so I'm still connected to the sporting space. The end of this month, I'll actually be going to California to do a photo shoot with a woman named Lindsay Horan, who's the U.S. Women's National Team captain for soccer. So still connected to athletics and sports, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Sounds wonderful. Whatever happens to Stephen during the rest of his career, you can be sure of one thing: he will never be running on empty. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome to the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame our newest member, Stephen Pifer.
Perfect. Thanks, Steve. Awesome. Oh, in front of here. Oh, yeah.